But of course, the big news breaking today from Spain around Real Madrid is that Toni Kroos will be playing his last 2 games for Madrid. It'll be that one and then the Champions League final. He'll retire after the Euros. As I've always said, Real Madrid is and will be my last club. I'm happy and proud that in my mind, I found the right timing for my decision and that I could choose it to be my own. My ambition was always to finish my career at the peak of my performance level. You take a look at his career, it's incredible, isn't it? When you take a look at that, 4 times Champions League winner with Real Madrid, won the Champions League as well with Bayern, won the World Cup with Germany, one of the greatest midfielders of his generation, Frank. Are you surprised at 34 he's decided to leave now as opposed to maybe looking to a move to Saudi Arabia or to MLS?
I'm surprised that he just gave up his career because I think he still had something to enjoy, and that's what it is. I remember Michel Platini giving up his career at 32 and saying that he was fed up, being prepared for all weekends and games every 3 days. And I can understand with all the awards that you could see and the way he was playing that maybe at some point you want to give up because it's always better to put envy instead of pity. And some players, they give up too late, and so you see them and you say, why they didn't stop before? Those guys will be remembered as a top player for his whole career. I understand that. Yeah, it could have been good to go to MLS or maybe Saudi Arabia or somewhere else, but I think if he decides to retire now, it's because he's fed up, and you will have just to accept that, and again to thank him for what he gave to football, because that guy, oh my God, what a player! What a player!
Yeah, he's been incredible.
Proper
but
player.
I think when people decide to do this, it's like, with all respect to other leagues, I just don't want to go there, take the money and be half-hearted, because his ambition, like most players, is to play in the elite level and operate at the elite level for club and country, and that's a kind of pinnacle. It doesn't get any better than that, and he's done that. And also, what I think a lot of people don't factor in is, we don't know what it's taken Toni Kroos to actually get a strip on, pull his socks on and get his boots on and play.
Yeah.
We don't know what... And I know they're playing every 2 or 3 days now, but we don't know what those 2 or 3 days in between games look like. And we've all, Shaka, Frank, myself, we've played with players and we've all been in that scenario ourselves, I would imagine, certainly I have, whereas you're picking yourself off the floor just to get on a training field. You're sitting in the physio's room, you're lying in the physio's bed, you're thinking, can I train today? Do I risk it? My calf sore, my hamstrings or my ankle sore, my knees sore. You're dragging yourself through to make a weekend or a midweek. And I'm not saying Toni Kroos is doing that, I don't know. But I would imagine at 34, there's a lot of that going on.
Yes.
Because the wear and tear in the body. And, that takes its toll. It takes its toll going in, and to play at that level, you have to be in the best shape. And then for him to be in the best shape, he's having to put himself through rigorous rehabilitation and rest and recuperation. So I get it. I absolutely... What a way to go out. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to win the Euros, because England are going to win that.
Yeah, of course.
But what a way to go out.
Do you understand his desire to go out on top?
I sympathise with it. I'm surprised that he's decided to walk away at 34.
Golf!
And well, quite clearly that might be an option.
Something.
As the old cliche goes, you're a long time retired.
Right.
So there's a lot of time between, for you to look back on your career and wonder what if. And you see players, to Craig's point, and he's absolutely right, but you see players structure deals where, okay, I only train on a Friday and then I play on the weekend or whatever it may be, just to kind of stay involved, just to keep having that camaraderie, because I think that's the one thing all of us who've retired miss most, that dressing room camaraderie and the banter that comes along with it. Because eventually there will be a time where nobody will want you, regardless. Pretty much. Trust me. And at that point, you walk away and you say, look, and you put those awards up and you say, this is what I did to your kids. This is what I've been able to accomplish. That being said, there aren't many people that can boast a CV like Toni Kroos.
Yeah.
So while I can sit here and talk about a long time retired, goodness me, there are so few people who can even come close to matching the titles he's been able to recognize as a player, that whenever he decides to walk away, all you can say is, good luck to you, you have absolutely earned it.
But everybody's different, you know. And
Dan,
talk to Steve.
you know what? Sorry, Craig.
No, that's all right. Go on, Frank.
For me, you have to. No, yeah, he has an opinion. I have an idea. You know what? There is a life after football, and you have to consider that. You know, I don't know if you went through injuries and stuff like that. You know, you have to. Analyze everything and say, maybe, you know what, I have to stop because my body is a big mess, and maybe I have to stop to make sure that I can walk. And I'm pretty sure it counts on Kroos' way of living his life, and he wants to be still fit for the rest of his life. And what he doesn't want to have, because I'm pretty sure he saw that. He saw Jan Fjotov running against a fish, and 20 years after his career, he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
For sure, he doesn't want that. So he wants to retire now to be still fit.
Some people have a life outside of football, though, and that's what.
Look at Frank.
Well, maybe Toni Kroos will be an actor.
Yeah, maybe.
Take over Frank's roles.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Walking the ball.
Well, you talk.
Why not?
We talked to Stevie about this before, and you know, I think we all agree that he would have carried on, wouldn't he?
Oh my God, yeah, he loved it.
And he would have dropped down. He did drop down to Doncaster from Liverpool, Sheffield Wednesday. He dropped down to Doncaster. He was in the lower leagues just because he wanted to play. Myself included, a lot of people are the opposite. Some guys that I know play to 38, 40. Maybe he just thought, you know what, this has been great, clearly, but there's so much else to do. You know what I mean? It's like. Some people just can't let it go.
Yeah.
It's not like he's been relying on his win bonus for the last couple of years. He's been paid. He's been paid handsomely.
Frank, what made him such a good player?
You know what? What I loved, he sees the game and what he has to do before receiving the ball. That's for me the key of a great football player, that he was ready to serve somebody and he exactly knew how to serve it. The way that he was seeing the game, the clarity of his game was spectacular for me. That was simple. And the most difficult thing in football is to play simple. 1 touch, 2 touches, that's a pure art for me. Dribbling, taking on players, yeah, it's great, but I'm not that type of player, and I loved player like Platini, for example, or Socrates. And Toni Kroos is, for me, the guy who felt the game, or feel the game because he's still present now, but he knows exactly where he's going to give the ball or who he's going to give the ball before receiving it. So his anticipation of the game is absolutely fantastic.
What's always interesting for me, like you grow up playing FIFA or you're watching from the stands, it's only when you're right pitch side watching a game you realise how little space there is actually for players to manoeuvre, and it's only when you see them up front and see them in real life, like a Toni Kroos, you realise how difficult a job they make look so easy.
Yeah, when you're watching with a high camera on TV, or you're sitting in a stand that's particularly high and you're looking down, and you sometimes wonder, why did that player not see that pass? How could he not see that easy pass? And then other times you go, wow, that was a great pass. But as you say, I remember being a kid when I first went down to Chelsea and I was on the touchline. I think I was 16 or 17. Might have been ball boys for some of the games, as it was back in the day.
Get your own ball.
And looking at the ground, going, and so you're on eye level with the players.
Yeah.
And you're like, where's the space? Where's the pass? And the other thing, when you're down at that level, it happens so fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely.
It's at a pace that I think the mere mortal and the supporter watching at home would not understand. And that's the difference when we see players coming from lower leagues that are maybe signed to, the Premier League clubs we were at. When some of these guys come up with great intentions and desire to be playing in this league, on a regular basis for years to come, and they step into a training session, never mind a match, with all these players, and it's like, for them, I've seen it happen, for them, the head's spinning. It's just a different, they're like, oh my God, it's so much quicker. And the fact that Toni Kroos Toni Kroos is, to repeat what Frank said, his ability to see passes and play passes has been incredible. I mean, they're just not going to be able to replace him. I think, did Luka Modric get a free transfer? I don't know.
No, Luka Modric is saying he's probably going to stay another year.
He's putting his hands up saying, I told you I'll see Toni Kroos out. I told you. But they've got too many. They've got Camavinga, two fantastic footballers. They've got Jude Bellingham, fantastic goal scorer, midfielder, all-round game. None of them can pass the ball and see a pass like Luka Modric and Toni Kroos.
I think the thing about Toni Kroos is how cleanly he strikes the ball, whether we're talking shooting or passing. And to the point that Craig was just making, and while players coming up from a lower division into the top league, be it the Premier League, La Liga, whatever it may be, kind of struggle with some of how tight the spaces are and how quick the game is, I think when you get to the top end of those same leagues, it's even more shown. You can come from a mid-table team like a West Ham or Brighton or Brentford and struggle to fit in at a Manchester City. In the same league where you stood out and shone for this club, all of a sudden you're playing for Manchester City and it feels like the game's a whole lot quicker, the spaces are a whole lot tighter and you struggle. And then we're talking about Toni Kroos, who has played at the highest level, be it in Germany or Spain or indeed Europe, and somehow been able to shine above all of those, despite everything else. I mean, it really is incredible.
God, we're very nice to a player. That was unlike us.